Welcome to our 7th episode of Low Range. This time round we're on our way up the Gulf and exploring Outback Queensland on the way. There's so much to see in country like this that you often have to go looking to find it, which is why I like my style of shortcut.
At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget.
I've attended a lot of dawn services in a lot of little country towns, and I think the one thing that people possibly don't always realise is that certainly at the time of the first Gallipoli landings, the sacrifice came from the country because most people lived in the bush. How cool is this, guys?
This is awesome.
It is very cool.
This, I reckon, is the best bit of sculpture in the bush.
I wouldn't want to be here in a cyclone.
The Tree of Knowledge is said to be the birthplace of the Australian Labor Party. In 1891, striking sheep shearers would have their meetings here and they became the founding members of the party. In 2006, the tree was poisoned, and so 3 years later, this memorial was erected. This is the start of our trip. We're going to go a bit of a distance from here too.
So let's hit the road and get to the Gulf.
Yes, mate, let's do it.
I'm good at
Straight
golf.
there?
Of course we're not going straight there.
You got a shortcut.
This is Low Range.
Have you got a shortcut?
I got a big shortcut.
Oh,
I got a lot of shortcuts.
How many weeks have we got?
Not another one of John's shortcuts.
Roothy's climbing sand dunes, Glenelg's crossing creeks, Candles kept out yonder and it could be there for weeks. They're on an adventure, that is nothing strange. They love forward travel, living life in low range.
Gleno's decided to bring a new truck on this one. Nothing different. He always brings a new truck, but I'm looking forward to seeing what it can do.
Gleno's 2014 79 Series Land Cruiser is one impressive vehicle.
This is the first time I'm taking a ute on a trip. First time I've really driven a ute off-road. Everything's brand new on it. The wheels, the tyres, the suspension, the airbags, the jack-off back. Everything is new to me. So to say I'm a little bit apprehensive is probably an understatement. I'm constantly reminding myself I've got to chill out.
On this trip, we're headed from Brisbane up to the Gulf and stopping to see a whole lot along the way. That includes the Bladensburg National Park, Lawn Hill Gorge, and taking the Savannah Way to try and find an old track up in the Gulf country.
When I heard we were heading to the Gulf, I was super excited. I've never been up there before. I started sharpening my hooks, getting my lures ready, and put the boat on the back of the trailer.
As I left Brisbane, I was thinking, look, this is a trip I've done heaps of times, you know, the A to B bit. But this time, this is a low-range trip, which means we're going to do the A to B bit, but we're going to get off the highway. We're going to have a look. We're going to fill in some of the gaps on that huge map of Australia. 11 kids.
11.
Let's go have a look, eh? This
Apparently
is
you
great.
didn't spend a lot of time here, though. I wonder why.
I bet the best room in the house is out on the veranda.
Yeah, all this is off the old
Wall bales,
bales.
yeah. It's hard to believe, but in 1899, Harry and Mary Ann Lagenbaker bought this house from Barcaldine on a horse-drawn wagon. Harry was away for months at a time transporting and leaving Mary Ann to tend to their 11 children. Bit of a low roof, guys.
Was that a barber's chair or
That's
something,
a
is it?
beauty.
Yeah, old barber's chair. This is how museums start, isn't it? It's like living history, isn't it? When you see a house like that, that is real pioneering history. It's just fantastic.
Look at the fishing rods.
Bush fishing rods.
Oh, look, his old pipe's still sitting in the ashtray.
Is too.
Oh, yeah.
But people should leave all of this stuff the way they see it so other people can come out and pick it up, have a look, put it back.
That's it, mate.
Anyway, guys, I'm just going to go use the lavatory. I'll be with you when I'm done.
Oh, you can stay there all on your own, I reckon.
Oh, the door doesn't shut, guys, so...
Look, I've travelled through a lot of towns in Australia. A lot of towns I can't even pronounce the names. But there's always been one town I've wanted to get to, and that's LowRange, because it's got the Qantas Aviation Museum. This is exciting for me, big time.
I'm not into planes as much as Gleno, but we were like three kids in a candy store. Hang on, how do you start it?
What's that one above you?
That's the gun.
Oh, you got a gun too?
Yeah.
I've got an uncle that flew with Qantas for many years, and I'd say definitely that's where my interest came in. I just want to know more.
Look good on the Hilux, mate. Hey?
Yeah,
Hey, that might make it go.
that'll get it going.
Can you imagine the trailer at the back of it, though? Little crispy bit.
Pre-flight checks, fuel cells, flaps. Yeah, I like them. Yeah, no hearing them. Good. And I just love 747s.
Woohoo! This Boeing 747-200 was donated by Qantas in 2002. Normally they're sold for scrap metal for $5 million. Qantas pub crawl. There's 900 switches and dials in this cockpit. That's nearly as many as Milo. I'll tell you what, I'm glad I didn't have to wire this fella up.
Give me full throttle.
Turbo button, look, turb.
Oh, look, it's got VMS. Yeah. Really cool.
Northwest of LowRange, about 200 kilometres up the road, is the Bladensburg National Park. This is another place I've seen signs for, but never stopped to have a look. Before this area was gazetted a national park in 1994, it was a prosperous sheep run. Yep, low annual rainfall, perfect for sheep.
So where does this name Scrammy come from, John?
Scrammy? Sounds like scrambled eggs, doesn't it? Scrammy's an old English word for a left-hander. That's after an old boundary rider called Scrammy Jack. Apparently crushed his right hand underneath the wagon wheel, and so he used his left hand all the time. It's Scrammy. Those boundary riders are pretty funny guys, actually. A lot of them get reputations for being real loners, you know, like sort of hermits almost. Just come back to the station every now and then for another hit of tobacco, and off they go again.
I was going to say, it must be a lonely old life out here doing that.
So is their job just to go around and check the fences on the boundary?
Yeah, pretty much. They've got to keep an eye out for ewes having trouble during lambing, and probably do a bit of dogging.
You can't imagine, you know, what the sheep are going to feed on.
You know, if sheep ate rocks, they'd do all right.
Yeah, gee, it's rocky, isn't it?
Apparently there's a good hill climb coming up, and I'm looking forward to getting the Luxie into LowRange again.
Unfortunately, none of us got that opportunity on this track. Four-wheel drive high clearance vehicles only. We see that sign heaps, and quite often that's what it means. You know, serious four-wheel drive high clearance. You could have done that in your rent-a-car. The grader had just been through. It was really soft. Some of us Australians like to challenge ourselves to get places. We don't want it made that easy. Maybe have two routes, you know, one for the rent-a-cars and one for the people who want to feel the country and challenge themselves a bit.
Before you knew it, we were at the lookout. We hadn't even climbed a hill and done a scrabbly climb to get there. It was like a piece of the world had just dropped away.
Something tells me the lonely Scrammy Jack would have spent many a sunset at this lookout with no one to talk to but the parrots and the bowerbirds.
Yeah, actually quite interesting how they do things. Aboriginals, different tribes, I suppose, in different areas. I've done a smoking ceremony before, so when it came to do dusting down, no dramas at all. I respect what they believe in and what they do.
It's the top of your skins on the outsides, both arms, around the back of your neck, and also across your face.
We've arranged to meet Pearl Eates, who's very passionate about preserving the history in this region. She's going to tell us the story of the massacre at Skull Hole.
The objective is because we know that there was a massacre here. When we actually leave here, we're not walking away with any bad energy or bad karma.
Now, if you've ever travelled in the outback, at some stage you've probably come across rock formations similar to this one. They're most likely old Aboriginal ceremony site. This was a male-only site, so whilst Pearl said any of us could walk into the circle, she had to remain on the outside. In the late 1800s, a teamster travelling through this region interrupted a ceremony, and they speared and killed him. This sparked a massive retaliation from the Europeans. Can you show us this site down here?
Yes, most certainly.
Thank you, Pearl. So the troopers would have pushed everyone...
Yep, they hoard them. They did hoard them up. There is a record of it.
Yeah.
Hoarded them up and drove them over towards the hole. And
Jeez.
The troopers came and just marauded everyone down, you know, with their... I've actually got bullets. You know, I've picked up a lot of the trooper bullets too as well.
Ooh.
A couple of their old pistols, marauded them, and they were just found just over here. And the history goes is that they just shot them all here in this hole.
And that's why this is
And this
Skull
is why it's
Hole.
called Skull Hole, and it's never changed its name.
The men?
The women, it would have been those that would have been preparing, you know, all like women would have been in here.
What a sad, sad history for such a beautiful place.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Wow. Well, we continued on our road trip up north. Stopped in to see Arno's Wall in Winton and then the Blue Heeler pub in Koinuna. It's a ritual of mine after all.
You walk into a pub like that, you don't have to ask about the history. It's all hanging on the walls, you just have a read. That's what you see in the good old pubs. You don't see that in the pubs where all the hipsters hang out these days. 2015.
Oh, shit. Mount Isa is the last big town we'll be going through on this trip. In fact, it's actually a city. This whole place exists because of the mineral deposits in the ground, with Mount Isa Mines one of the most productive single mines in the history of the world. Righto, guys, this will be the last chance before we hit the bush for a couple of weeks, so this is our chance to do the shop.
What do you want to do? You want to do it together or should we take a job each?
We should probably split up, I reckon.
Right,
Split it up.
That'll be quicker.
What do you want to do, mate? You want to do the fruit and veg?
That'll do. That's my specialty, my favourite.
That's your specialty, fruit and veg?
I'll get the cow. Go to the butcher.
You go to the butcher's?
Very good.
That's... well, that leaves me with the bakery.
Rightio.
I'll look after the rest.
Oh, no, cool. Leaving Mount Isa meant that we're leaving civilization. Everything had to be spot on at that stage.
BCF. Boating, camping and fruit. I've never been too good at grocery shopping and I was very surprised when the boys actually asked me to do it. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Donut King. I reckon they'll sell bread. Lots of lovely wholemeal choices here. Mount Isa's the last big shopping town. We had to take it seriously. After Mount Isa, we're heading over to Lawn Hill Gorge, but of course this is low range, so there's no way we're going to take the usual route.
Well, we're definitely out of the big smoke now, mate. This is the... We're hitting the dirt, bit of the Outback, eh? So one of Roothy's famous shortcuts.
Oh, just what you want.
Another shortcut, or as I like to call them, a slow cut.
Come to expect that these days, don't we?
I'll tell you what, it's like these guys are scared of adventure or something. Ah, well, maybe we should air down just in case.
'Cause I've been let down by the ones I love. Yes, I've been let down by the man above. Oh, I've been let down in spring, summer, and fall. But I let myself down most of all.
It was pretty funny. The first turn off that we had to take for one of these shortcuts, John couldn't even find himself.
Hey guys, I'll just duck up here and check this out. I think this might be where it is, even though it's not really showing up.
Yeah, sort of in the right spot, mate.
Well, it looks like there was an older track up here. I think this is right, guys. It seems to have come through VMS. It's going to come right any minute, so it must be right. Even the best VMS unit, a good map, whatever, is going to have the track not always starting where it should. And the reason for that is simple, because this is Australia and because tracks move, depending on the season. I used to get worried about looking for tracks until I realised at some stage in my life that when you're looking for a track, that means you're looking for adventure. You're right at the beginning of the adventure.
How pretty is this country around here, though?
It's amazing, isn't it? It's like a little sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? An oasis in the middle of everything.
Correct, yeah. I think Mount Isa, or the outskirts where we are, of being bone dry, and you wouldn't expect to see lush trees and particularly water in a river. Actually, it turned out to be a pretty cool track. It had been graded not long before, so we're all thinking to ourselves, this must lead to something important.
It's not unusual, you know, to have a grader path a little way off the bush and there's a stockpile or something, you know, a new power pole, or somebody needed a grader track to get something in. But the longer this grader track went on, the more I kept thinking, I wonder what this is leading to. Where's it going? I think this shortcut's going to pay out, guys.
Yeah, so basically we ended up driving around in circles all day. When we did actually find the track and got to the end of it, we were in a mine. That's right, a mine site.
This isn't exactly what I had in mind.
Yeah, I think there was the whole feeling amongst the crew that we shouldn't be here.
Yeah. Well, that was a good try. We popped out on a mining road, a haul road. So the first bloke I've stopped has just looked at me and said, mate, what are you doing here? I said, mate, I don't know. I didn't mean to get here. And he said, well, how did you get here? You must have turned off and come up. I said, no. And I got out the map and I showed him where we came. He said, oh, right, he said. I heard they just graded that bit so we could get over to Gunshot. I didn't know anyone knew about it, though.
We took that road out that we weren't even supposed to be on and pretty much ended up where we started that morning.
We ended up 30 kilometres west of where we first started it. Go the shortcut.
We finally find a bush camp. We just got out of the mine. I'm tired. I want to get into bed, so I fold the camper over and boom.
Yeah, just sleep like that.
I mounted that boat motor there. It was the bracket off the rear fold. I just thought it'd go straight onto the forward fold, which it did, but the forward fold ended up on top of the boat motor.
What do you sleep under here, do you?
Great, mate. This is brilliant.
There's got to be another way.
They gave a few laughs around the campfire that night. We didn't have a campfire, but it gave us lots of laughs.
Now, this doesn't come standard of every model, but if you get your order in early enough, you can get a Keno special.
The Keno special.
Make your camping trip an absolute nightmare.
That is 150 kilos too.
And look at this.
Oh.
It works. It works. I got somewhere to sleep. In the morning, we smashed down a bit of brekkie, then we were on the road again.
Huge distances quite often mean that people just lose track of the road, really. You know, the scenery's starting to all blur into the same thing, or it's night time and they're in a hurry or whatever, and they just keep drilling into it when really, on a long bush road, that's when you need to be at your most alert. We see wreckages everywhere we go, and it's from people missing a corner, swerving to avoid a roo or a beast, or, you know, there's a million reasons, a flat tyre, a sudden blowout, whatever. And bingo, all of a sudden, lovely family trip, whatever it is, has just turned into a rollover and another wreckage on the side of the road.
Yes, let's make an effort not to end up like that. There's the easy way to Lawn Hill, or there's the John way.
On trips like this, there's more to it than just planning around the little fuel pump things on your VMS or on your map or whatever, because at the end of the day, you really need double the fuel each time. You're never sure. It could be Sunday. Maybe they shut on a Sunday. Or it could be outside of their opening hours. Or maybe it's a public holiday. So you've just got to be aware of that and always try and have some extra fuel or some sort of plan on how you can get that bit further to the next place. Hey guys, there's a good little lookout up here. I'll just peg this track out over here. Come up and have a look.
Righto, mate. What are we heading up that hill there, are we?
We certainly are.
Ah, straight up the side. Yeah, there's a bit of grass on this one too, isn't it? The whole scenery's just changed again.
Well, it'll be a good workout for the old throwback, mate. Carrying a bit of weight. It's not the hardest thing we've ever done, but it's steep and very scrabbly.
Oh, I'll wait at the bottom for you to get up top then, eh?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I've started to slip already. Bit of a step up here, guys, too.
It's pretty steep.
Oh, it's steep as in that middle section. Plenty of parking up here. Might even be able to turn the trailer down.
Oh, gonna bring the cruiser up.
Just walk it on up there, Gleno.
Yeah, got her in second low. Rear locker in. So far, so good. First time in low range for the big girl.
This is the first time Glenn's driven the 79 and it's heavy in the back. So a hill climb like this is going to feel completely different.
Not wrong about this view.
And now it's Keno's turn and he's bringing up the forward fold. He'll have to give it a bit of extra pressure on the pedal, I tell you.
Bit scrabbly with the trailer on the oh, I nearly stopped then.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Forward a bit of weight up there. The Hilux might struggle a bit, but it's holding up the momentum, and that's the vital thing. Just makes everything kind of look small, doesn't it? Small and big at the same time being up here. It's amazing.
Kind of feel like we're the only ones here.
Yeah.
Well, we are.
Well, we are.
But it's very pretty. Not something I expected to see out here.
Some of these termite mounds definitely look like people I know.
Well, mate, we should make a move, eh?
Yeah, come on.
Get
Adele's
late in the
isn't
day.
far. Want to get into the water, eh?
Go wash the dust off.
I reckon. When you go from a dry open plain straight into a lush green oasis, you know you're entering the Gulf country. Lawn Hill National Park is now known as Boojamala, which means rainbow serpent. But you know, in any language, this place is just magical. There's just something incredible about those bright desert red rocks, the cliffs, and the turquoise water. And to me, with all the reflections and the light plays and everything else, I kept seeing faces in the rock. You know, there are places where you can't do anything else other than feel attached to the earth. There are places that are magical, and that was a very, very magical place. Come on, Hiawatha.
Hey, yeah.
Front wheel drive this canoe is. This is a Roo Systems powered canoe, mate.
Where is Keno?
I don't know. I think you've given Woofy the paddle. Someone should tell him the dog's not real.
The cascades at the end, you could see how pure the water was coming over the edge. It was about half a foot of just pure, clean water, and you could see through it pouring over the edge. It made me want to just climb up there and drag the canoe up and see what was further upstream. It's just beautiful.
Lawn Hill Gorge. Gorgeous is what it's short for, really, should be. To find something like that, the cliffs, the water, it's like this was natural beauty at its best.
About 10 kilometres from Lawn Hill is the Dells Grove Camping Park. I've never been here before, but I've heard it's a top place to stay. Dells Grove was just a beautiful campsite. You know, it's just different too. You don't expect any of that flora in a place like that. You really don't. That was just amazing. Hardly any dust in there, really.
I got my finger stuck in the door of Milo. It's very sharp.
Oh, Keno, you're so used to your new cars and their smooth doors.
This place,
It's definitely like sleeping material, isn't it, Kenno?
full-on sleep-in material.
Adele's grave looked like the sort of place that is on my must take the family there list. And to have somewhere as different as that in the middle of Australia is just very super special. How's the chook going, Glenno?
Oh, it's chopped, ready to go, mate.
Beautiful, mate. Get it right. You okay?
I'm good.
Good. It's like teaching school around this camp sometimes. Fair income. All right, now tonight, something really simple. Because, let's face it, look what I'm cooking for. And it's easy, really easy, and quick. Oh, don't laugh, don't laugh.
Cook me a delicacy, please, sir.
I don't know if it'll be a delicacy because we're actually making it up as we go here. It's a corruption of an old recipe.
And what's changed?
Isn't that the truth? Okay, now over here, I got some pasta on the go. And over here, I've got some chicken that Glenno diced up beautifully too, I might add. Look at that. Years ago, there used to be a recipe called Thousand Island chicken that was a little bit like this, and I found some of the ingredients for it. Then I went looking for this, and I couldn't find all the ingredients. But I did manage to find some fairly trick things. Seafood sauce, apricot jam, and packets of French onion soup. And you're thinking, now how's all that going to work together? Well, so am I.
We're thinking that in here too.
Are you thinking that in there, guys?
What are you going to call it?
Chicken of the sea. No, chicken lemur. Now, we really do need, as always with chicken, to get it cooked. So I'm going to concentrate on that for a minute. You come back in a minute, okay? This is where it starts to get magical, which is a good thing because we're in a magical place. In goes the seafood sauce.
A little
Now,
bit.
be really gentle with this. You know, you don't want to overdo it. Just a dab will do you. Unless you can take the lid off and get more out. There we go. We're going to do 2 bottles.
Just a little bit, guys.
Just a little bit, you reckon? Just a hint. There we go.
That's the seafood bit, eh?
I call that a hint. That's the seafood bit, Glenno. Righto, now, French onion soup. This stuff.
Bit of
Oh,
seasoning.
look at that, it's got a lump in it. No, it hasn't.
Bit of salt.
That's what it is, Kenno. So many recipes happen because of French onion soup. If you get stuck, you can get a piece of steak, especially if it's, you know, bad steak, it's not great steak, and slap it in French onion soup and then grill it or cook it in the pan and it'll taste great. Okay, in goes the apricot jam. I'm thinking at least
Bottle.
most of the bottle. We're going to save some because I want a little bit for brekkie,
For the toast.
for the toast.
Do you want some paper towel, mate?
What, you got some?
Yeah, got some here, yeah.
Are you trying to tell me something about my cooking, Kenno? Normally we don't need that until later. And probably more.
Oh, Kenno.
Oh, Kenno, who bought you? Righto. Pardon me, I've got to keep mixing my food here. I'm going to give it a little touch of chilli, just to liven it up now. Not too much.
Keep going.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Just a little touch. Whoops, whoops, I got the shakes there.
Thank
Never
you, John.
mind, that'll do it. I guess you could call it creative thinking. You could call it sheer brilliance in the kitchen. Or you could call it a total accident because that's what we got stuck with. It doesn't really matter what you call it. Chicken of the sea is about to become a camping favourite.
I don't know what it's going to taste like. Just can't get my head around it.
We need it to
Infuse.
infuse
Confused.
Infuse or confuse the chicken, one way or the other. What we don't want it to do is desiccate the chicken,
The chicken is
because
confused.
then we'll have to stop and do it again. Which plate would you like?
I'll have a green one.
He would do that to me, wouldn't he? Okay, a little bit of pasta. You don't eat much, do you, Keno?
No, no. I eat lots of beer sticks.
I know you do, mate. You're a good man on the beer sticks.
Yep.
I'll just serve you a little portion, and then you can have some more if you want some more, okay?
Sounds good, mate.
You know why, don't you? Because I've got to serve our big mate a big portion,
Yeah, he'll need a big
because
portion.
he'll want some anyway. Do you want a fork?
Yes, please.
Keno's got his and I don't.
All right then. Let's get the
Thank you,
word
John.
from the maestro, someone who knows about food, not
Oh.
just beer sticks. I just want to thank our production assistant, Joshy Z, who did the shopping and really stuffed it up. And thanks to him, we're trying something totally new. Is it all right?
It's unreal. It's really good.
Way to go.
Hey, do you want to bring the chili flakes with you?
Chili flakes, you want chili flakes? Do you need salt, Keno, or?
No, it's good.
Yeah, thanks, mate. A bit more chili flakes. I knew you'd want more chili flakes, Keno. I better bring this with me, my can of diet soft drink. Oh, lots of toilet paper here already, Keno.
Yeah, ready.
Getting ready.
Ah, very good. Move over, Wolfie.
Not a lot of talking going on.
Cheers, gentlemen, to another beautiful meal.
That's not bad, is it? Good value.
The plan after leaving Adele's Grove was to head north to the Savannah Way.
We've got about 130 kilometres to get to the Savannah Way, but we're not in a rush. That's the whole beauty of LowRange.
What's our next destination, mate?
We're aiming for Dormagee, but it's a bit to the east. We'll see what we feel like when we get there.
And I hear there's a nice spot on a nice river full of barramundi and crocs and stuff we might be camping at tonight. Would that be right?
Back at the springs back there, I was having a yarn with one of the locals, and he reckons there's some pretty nice natural springs coming off the Calvert River, and that might be about where we wind up. We could have a bit of an explore around there, I reckon.
Oh, well, until then, I'm just going to look out at my front TV screen and take it all in.
We left Adele's Grove and we're heading up to the Gulf. We're pretty much just driving through cattle stations, lots of gates. The golden rule is leave the gate the way you found it. If it's open, leave it open. If it's shut, shut it again. Just leave it the way you found it.
When travelling through the outback, you get time to take everything in and look at everything that's out there. See, a lot of it looks exactly the same. So when you come across something that's different, it really sticks out and you really pay attention. And today it was a cross.
They get a load of the cross up there on top of that hill on the left.
It's a monster cross. Bet you there's a good story behind that.
Then John decided we'll drive up there and have a look and suss it out, and I'm glad we did because it was a big part of history for that area.
Looking up at that track, I thought, wow, this looks steep. God bless the E-lockers. That's my thought when I saw that cross. Hey guys, I think we might just take it one at a time. It looks awfully steep up there. I'm going to go for LowRange second gear with the rear jip on because it's scrappy if nothing else. When I saw the track, my first thought was there must be another one that we've missed that goes up. This is the one that comes down, because it really did look super steep and pretty hard, pretty tricky. Oh, shades of high country hills. This is awesome. I kept thinking, hey, someone carted that cross up there and the concrete to lay it into the ground. It's got to be possible. It's got to be possible.
Looks a bit scrabbly.
Oh, very scrabbly, guys. Lots of holes. I don't think this is a trailer hill, Keno. Let's see what Keno says.
Sitting at the bottom, it looked very steep. Watching John go up in Milo, you could tell it was very scrabbly.
Whoa, you should see the view from up here. It's insane. Wow, this is something special.
I know, I'll come on up. It was a good test because I was worried about the weight on the back. Getting on those angles, you know, what's it going to mean for me? I didn't want to be able to have to stop halfway up. Well, see if this cruiser's top heavy or not, eh?
Mate, you're going to find out. I'm getting out to watch. This will be great.
Look, with the extra weight on the back of the ute, I was very nervous heading up this hill.
Good luck, mate.
Thanks, Keno. Oh, so far, so good. She's pushing well. I chose second gear low range. Big time worried about having to stop halfway up. I did not want to have to do that. Go, you good thing. She's digging in, doing a thing. Feels comfortable.
Glenn needs to be concentrating 100% here.
Geez, you get steep at the end here too.
Whoa, that was a big wheel lift there, Gleno.
Woo. Woohoo! What a view!
I thought it was a good idea to leave the camper at the bottom. I didn't intend on camping at the top. It would have just made it a lot more difficult. Here I come, guys. The drive up was scrabbly, there was step-ups. I had the rear locker in. I tried out the front locker as well because I hadn't put it in yet since I changed out the air lockers to E-lockers. Car felt good, everything felt great.
You can do it, Keno.
Hope my boat motor doesn't fall out.
If that happened, I'd probably roll down the hill laughing.
Once got to the top, there was no room for a camper, so I made the right decision. Hello, gentlemen.
There you go, Keno.
Good.
Well, this is really worth the climb to the top. I mean, apart from the world's best view, we found out why the cross is here. It was erected by Sebastiano Ferrari Meyer. Put this here in loving memory of his parents. My parents, whom I miss so much, I erect this cross, Brolino and Maria. And they both died in the 60s, and this cross went up in 1983. I can't think of a more fitting way to remember someone than to do something as special as that. That was an amazing memorial. First of all, it's on top of a hill, closer to God. Secondly, the view was almost godlike. Sebastio eventually became known as the Cattle King. And it's a really weird story because in 1975, he lobbed into Sydney off the boat and he couldn't speak English. So he hired the taxi driver that picked him up as an interpreter, and they drove all over the country until he found somewhere where he could build a cattle empire.
All I kept thinking about was, man, that was a huge taxi fare.
Boy, you know what? That little scrabble up the hill was worth every minute of it. Not just for the view, but for this slice of history too.
Hell's Gate. We roll in there. Bit of an eerie feeling. I wasn't sure how or why it got the name Hell's Gate, but I'm sure it's not a good story.
Travelling in remote country gets remote, obviously. But once you pass through Hell's Gate, it sort of tells you everything, doesn't it? The name says it means everything because there is nothing.
The name Hell's Gate comes from the small gap in the escarpment that the road goes through. In the early days of settlement, local police used to escort people on their travels as far as Hell's Gate. After that, they were on their own. Considering that they would have been on foot, or at best on a horse, it's easy to understand why it would have been seen as the gateway to hell.
Crossing the border into the Northern Territory, it felt like we'd done it only 3 weeks ago, which we had, but in a totally different spot. We're a lot more north. It's always a good feeling seeing that sign with the bird flying for the sun. You know you're in for a good time.
Hey, old mate.
It should have been going my way.
I should have been. What have you done?
Ah, she shit herself. Motor.
Motor?
Yeah.
Fair income. And she's a petroleum model. Geez, got a lot of oil on it.
That's what I mean.
Spares and a bit of oil, eh? And it's got
It's oil in water.
It's oil in water.
Being a mechanic, you always think, oh yeah, I could probably get this bloke going. But once I inspected that engine bay and what was going on there, that's the definition of stuck.
What's it look like oil-wise?
Blew it all out.
Oh, yeah. Hasn't got any in it.
Yeah, blew it all out.
It's got water in it, though.
I automatically thought this guy's probably only been here for, I don't know, a couple of hours. He'd been there for 3 days.
And
Yeah.
so she's done a head to gaskets. He had a little fire going on the side of the road, him and a lady, Aboriginal lady there. No one had helped him out. There must have been traffic going through there, but the least I could do was get the satellite phone out and call people that he knew a couple of 100 k's away.
Hey Beth, it's Tom. Yeah, I'm way out at Kangaroo Creek. Could you tell Jimmy or Stuart that I am broken down and need help to get home?
But it really blew me away. He'd been there for 3 days.
Local knowledge is everything on these trips, and the owner of Adele's Grove had told me about this little track that just sounded like it could be spectacular. And part of the spectacular bit was that he wasn't sure if it was still there, and he wasn't sure how far in we'd be able to get. Those two things spell adventure. And the one we're looking for should bring us out to a few natural springs, some water holes, some really nice stuff.
Going to a track that hadn't been travelled in many years and finding secluded water holes and secluded campsites, that's right up there.
Just have a quick duck down this one, although this is just a lovely big camping ground. My informant, my local, reckons that you go past the place where people normally camp, 200, 300, 400 yards, and you should pick up some signs on the right. Signs of a track, that is, not signs saying this is the way to the secret track.
John was working off some pretty vague directions.
Oh, that looks like a track truck. A local track. Look at that, you can barely see it.
We were just driving around for hours and hours and hours. I lost faith that we were actually going to find this place.
Hey guys, you copy?
Yeah, mate.
I'm just coming back. I've picked up a track here that it pretty much answers the description we were given. I haven't gone too far down it, just a couple of k's to have a quick look. But it keeps on going, and it was a substantial track at some stage, so I think this is where we should start. I'm going to come back and get you though. The instructions were pretty vague, and they came with the typical local factor. And the local factor is, he said, it's just after the jump up that's sealed, and then you'll see the river and the car park, and just shortly after the car park, maybe 200 to 500 yards past the car park. Well, the problem was that the jump up was about 30, 40 k's before the river, and then the car park was straight after it, and the track, well, I didn't even bother counting on that. It took 3 goes to find it.
We finally found the right track, and this guy wasn't joking. It had everything. It was technical. We had to use lockers, all sorts of things. There was soft patches, rocky patches. It had everything. I'm glad we found it.
So we're all excited because we're a little bit on the nose to find this place. And there's nothing like travelling with a bunch of guys looking for a track that you don't know you're going to find, or if you're actually going to get there.
The end of the track was the end of the track. It wasn't going any further at all. No one had been there for ages.
Walked down, find some beautiful water holes. We were all dusty, needed a clean.
Walking down to that little break in the rocks, that ancient gorge, that felt incredible. There were fossils everywhere in the rocks. I'm sure a lot of those fossils haven't been seen by the people who need to see them, and it felt ancient. The rock felt ancient, but gee, it felt very modern to have a splash in the creek because the water was beautiful.
We just lay in there for probably an hour, I'd say, just soaked ourselves. It was amazing. The last campsite for the trip was beautiful. There wasn't a lot of room, but it made for a great camp. We were by ourselves, we had a beautiful waterhole. The waterhole was alive with fish, and the fish were curious. They'd come up and look at you, so they hadn't seen many people. I think we were very privileged to stay there. I don't think a lot of people know about that spot.
You could spend years out here in that couple of 1,000 kilometres that we've just done. And you could turn off left, right, everywhere, and find tracks, find campsites, find water holes. If you want to get away from absolutely everything, be secluded, this is the place to do it.
I should have known how this trip was going to be, you know, because I've been doing this stuff long enough, but at the end of the day, it's like the plus and the minus button on the VMS map. You know, you can keep on hitting plus and you can keep on getting smaller and smaller tracks that lead to beautiful little places, or you can hit the minus and get the big picture and cover 1,000 Ks in a day. But do you know what? This country is so big, that you could spend 10 lifetimes trekking down all those little tracks and you're still going to find heaps of new places. I love that. That's just exciting. That's an adventure.
People say John and Glenn are like two peas in a pot, but pod is it?
Yay, Roothy!
Oh! My eyes are dusty.
So it's the track just down here to have a skinny dip.
Skinny dip. I'm going somewhere different to you guys then.
Yeah, mine's a bit of a lard ass dip.
Recording.
I
Now
nailed
go
it.
into drive mode.
Bump.
Talk on the radio.
Gleno, I don't really like you much at all.
Come on, Keno.
Oh, mate, you buy yourself a diesel.
I'm getting barked at by
Yeah, use that thing on the bottom.
What do you want me to do?
On the bottom. That one on the bottom from your side.
This
give
guy?
me that one.
No!
Dumb electrician.
Hope you're filming that.
Glenn, you reckon there's a bar in the middle up here or something?
Mate, I could bring a bar up here. I could put a houseboat right in the middle of this. Jump off, on and off it all day long. Jump on a jet ski.
Shall we do that again?
I think so. What are you doing? Why are you recording?
Because I pushed the button.
Hey Mel, are you controlling this one again? Disconnect.
Well, look, hang on, Glenn. I'll just adjust something here. Come on, I'm hyped. I'm ready to rock and roll with the funnies. Here we are, the cooking segment. This is a big hill. A big hill. With a cross on top. Let's hope the cross wasn't put there to remember another four-wheel driver who tried this hill. Sit down! Jeez, so hard to do a cooking segment around here. You, shut up. Now. Shit, I missed. What do you call it? Diced, desiccated, killed?
Simple.
Simpled. Here, meet me, mate, the world's best diesel tuner. He's not simple at all. Most of the time.
Let's have Gleno walking over again because I don't want the word desiccated in there.
What's wrong with desiccated? Desiccated isn't a swear word. Defecated is a different word. Mel, keep the camera rolling because Mel's a dummy. Mel is a total dummy. She thinks desiccated is defecated.
Okay, are we doing this again?
Gleno, can you defecate some chicken, please?
I've cut it into little feces. Oh, feces, darling.
Glenn and Kenna will be stationary. John, you'll be moving.
Confirmed, I am stationary. I think. Yep, definitely stationary.